Hello, my name is Sasha Struthers. I'm an employer defense attorney here in Los Angeles. And today I thought I would do a video in light of the new minimum wage increase. And there'll be two minimum wage increases here in Los Angeles this year. July 1st being the second one. January 1st was the first one, statewide in a lot of localities, and then there's going to be another wage increase this year in July. That information will be in the blog that goes with this, so you'll have that information available. With minimum wage increase also comes the salary increase, 2 times minimum wage. Information will also be available in the blog, along with information about requirements necessary to meet the exemption of these employees. Today's video is actually not going to be about all the technicalities of that, because you can read about it and I won't bore you with that. Today's video is actually a little cautionary tale about what happens when you micromanage an employee that you deem exempt, but is actually not exempt in reality. We talk a lot about, or know a lot about, misclassification of employees versus independent contractor. But lawsuits that often happen are when employees are classified as exempt when they are non-exempt. And the reason for that oftentimes is when it happens mostly in small businesses, when you do not let go of control, and then you end up like helicopter, what was it called? Helicopter parenting. So you helicopter manage your employees or micromanage your employees, and you don't actually give them the independence that they need necessary to meet this exemption. And the two exemptions that this kind of falls into or is an issue for is usually the executive exemption and the administrative exemption. In the executive exemption, the employee has to manage at least 2 other employees underneath them. And that means that this employee needs to be able to hire, fire, promote, demote, discipline employees, or what they have to say about those things holds weight. And what I often find an employer gets sued, and this is usually in small businesses, is the employer will get sued usually for something else. But they will also throw in a misclassification and then say that the employee's owed overtime, meal and rest break premiums, things like that. But it's because the employer made this employee a manager and then did not let the employee actually exercise managerial duties. And that usually comes in the form of this person should be training, scheduling, disciplining, enforcing workplace policies of other, employees. When the employee is not doing that, this exempt employee, they're not really exempt. And when you micromanage them, you're not letting them exercise their independence. And that becomes a problem, because then they're not really an exempt employee. The other way is when you have an employee under the administrative exemption. The administrative exemption is pretty interesting because it's basically this employee deals with more or less the day-to-day operations and has a huge say in it. They are responsible for either the accounting portion of things, purchasing or procurement. They implement or have oversight on, regulation compliance, labor law, employment law compliance, things like that. The person manages the actual business or works with the owner, the executive, in managing the day-to-day and works directly with those people. So that's the administrative one. And again, your receptionist, while they deal with a lot of things, is not likely going to be an exempt employee, but they are oftentimes deemed exempt employees and paid that way and are being misclassified. So what it really comes down to, in an easier, more simple way, is this employee, a significant part of the operation? And can you trust that your operation is being ran more or less by this employee? And if that's the case, and you don't have to interfere every time they need to make a decision, or they don't have to answer to you all the time in order to carry on with their job, then they're meeting the requirements more or less. And again, it varies by business, it varies by industry, by the individual and what they're doing. But small businesses are consistently getting sued for that because they're not letting the employee exercise, independence in their discretion. And usually, this is a much probably bigger video, but usually small businesses get sued for more personal matters. And in this case, it comes down to when you kind of micromanage an employee and stress the employee out for that, they tend to sue. Borderline retaliation. Another thing that hinders an employer when they do this and they don't kind of let go of the reins is it holds a business owner back from actually scaling the business, because one of the key things to scaling a business is delegating. So it actually is in the employer's best interest to kind of let go, and if they're going to have an exempt employee, let the employee be exempt. And while they don't have, like, for hiring and firing or promoting, demoting, or discipline, it's if you don't want the employee to have the final say in that, which there's valid reasons for that, you need to let what they say carry great weight and have merit in the ultimate decision that you, the business owner, makes. And you will find actually delegating and kind of letting go of some of that authority to this employee will actually free you up to do other things. Now, it's also true you have to give this power to an employee that you feels is responsible to handle this kind of power. But all in all, that's usually the better decision. If you're going to have someone be exempt, and it's kind of a gray area, you should come up with a job description for them and look at the job description and see how much of that they have to actually come to you to finalize, or how much they can actually do on their own without your interference. And that is a good way to kind of gauge whether you are or not in compliance with the exemption requirements. That's a more practical way to go about it. But that being said, I will link the information below in the blog for the minimum wage increases, the salary exemption increase, and some elements you might want to look at if you have an employee or thinking about making an employee an exempt employee versus a hourly employee. That information will be in the blog that goes with this. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me. My information also is below. And it is 2021, so good luck, everybody. I wish you the best. Maybe this year will be less of a throwaway than last year. 2020 we just kind of threw that one in the fire. So hopefully this year will be better, and I wish everybody the best of luck. Thank you.